All right, guys, welcome to Visiblepreneur, back with another one as always. And yes, as always. So today I have with me Tracy Muller. Her and I met a while back. Wow, what's it been like? Almost 3 years?
I
Well,
think it's been about two and a half
yeah,
years.
yeah, more about 2.5. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, she's definitely a great friend. Met her through networking as well. She's had a shift in business as well, and she's gonna talk all about it. So, welcome to Visiblepreneur. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Oh
really
yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. So, what is it you do now?
All right. So, my company that I launched in January is called Networking for You.
Networking for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, one of the problems that we have with networking is there are certain trade companies that are in networking that don't stay. Whether it's um, you know, the painter, the handyman, the plumber, we have a hard time getting those people in our networking group. So I've developed something where I will actually represent those small business owners in a specific, a network group in different chapters. So each chapter, I'm kind of like their permanent sub.
Wow.
So I wear their shirt and I pass out their business cards, and I'm there to represent their company.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That's matter of fact, that's ingenious to me because like I've been through a few different networking groups and a lot of times you'll hear that they have a sub and for that, they're not getting paid for it. It's more like, they're doing it as a favor, so to speak, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You just take it to a whole nother level.
Right, and I would like to say that it was my creative thinking, but it actually kind of just fell into my lap.
Ah, yeah. That's awesome. So you can go in there and say, "Hey," one of the last guests I had on there say, "Hi, I'm Nancy, or now with Nancy that cares," and
Right. So, the first gentleman that I started out with, he's an HVAC because we're always looking for an HVAC person to
oh
be
yeah,
in networking, and he's a high school friend of mine. And I remember asking him several times to come to my networking group.
yeah,
And he's like, Tracy, I'd rather go to the dentist than go networking. That's just not my thing. He said, I would pay you to do it. And I said, really? And my eyes lit up. I was like, I love networking. Like being around people energizes me. And so that's how I started is I started networking for him. Then somebody else approached me and said, "Hey, would you do the same thing for me?" And then he introduced me to somebody and it's gone from there.
wow, that's amazing. So, because you do for HVAC companies, do you have like a specific favorite that you do, or you're kind of just like the generalist, so to speak?
So, the people that I do represent, the business owners, I do represent Warrior Sewer and Drain. So, I have a sewer and drain company, the flood team, which does the water restoration,
Yeah.
and HVAC. So, really, what I'm looking for is a specific industry, but only one. I'm not going to represent three HVAC companies. I'm
Okay.
going to find one that I actually do my due diligence on and make sure that it's a good fit for me and for their company.
Okay, so yeah, you basically you keep it simple. You get in there and you pretty much what I like to call know your stuff about it. That's interesting.
Well, I don't know anything about
Well, not
sewer
the
and
technical
drain.
side.
Yeah. All I know is, yeah, you're right. I know the networking. I know that how important it is to build relationships, getting to know people, adding value to them. And it's amazing how it comes back to you. No matter who you're representing, it's you. I'm branding Tracy Miller. That's who I'm branding.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And I wanted to ask too, because you know, you're one of the different entrepreneurs that I've had that actually does things like this kind of like for well no kind of for a living. So what has been the experience like? You're getting around different people, you're traveling a lot. How have you felt about that?
I definitely enjoy it. I use one specific networking group, so I'm in almost all of the chapters, but I have it where it makes sense, like where I'm going, it makes sense. So they're all part of that tribe, that networking tribe. So wherever I show up, I'm getting to know them. I'm also contacting them with other people in other chapters that could actually add value to them.
Yeah.
There's some that haven't visited other chapters
Yeah.
and didn't know, hey, that person's a felon. I haven't met them. So I'm able to connect them too. In When you look at the big picture, I'm helping the business owners I'm representing, but I'm also helping members that are in their chapter that they signed up for.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so you've basically had to cuz I know you kind of did this a little bit before.
Mhm.
Um what has been the pivotal point change for you?
So, pivot is such a hard word for me because I know it was used a lot. It was definitely rerouting. I was doing a lot of networking for me, trying to introduce myself to different people. I was energized by networking. I thought what I was doing, but there's a point in networking where you have to stop networking and you have to look at your business, the actual business you're doing, and working on your business. And, through the network group that I'm part of, which is Master Networks,
Yeah.
we do a lot of business training. And since I was going to all of those chapters visiting, I was starting to listen to target your market, think about your mission. What is your mission? And so that, with all of the other knowledge I've gotten over the years of, networking and going to coaching sessions or, any other kind of training, I'm like, you know what? I gotta be real strategic about this. I love networking. How can I utilize it to the best of my ability? And so that's kind of how I had to reroute for last year, is kind of say, okay, right now I'm hitting a wall with Connection Exchange. I love Connection Exchange, but last year was really hard for me to meet with recent startups.
Mhm.
Um, Having me call them and say, "Hey, Isaiah, my name's Tracy Mueller. So glad you started your brick and mortar business. Can I come see you?" No, I couldn't because a lot of those businesses were closed.
Right. Yeah.
And you didn't know if you were going to stay in business
Yep.
in
Absolutely.
2 months, 6 months. So I was probably the last person that you wanted to talk to. And I got a lot of no's. And that's okay. Um, so I had to kind of look at things a different way. Who can I help right now? And looking at some of these trade companies, they were essential last year. I mean, there were so many things that needed to be taken care of. And so it was just, like I said, it fell in my lap, but it was such a great puzzle piece. That's how I looked at everything, is there's a final picture. I just lost the picture. So I'm kind of like just putting puzzle pieces together and seeing what sticks until I can see that, clear.
Yeah, wow, that's great. So you've had a pretty big change and you've adapted to it pretty well, it sounds like.
Yeah, I absolutely, absolutely love what I'm doing.
All right, yeah. So now that we got a basic idea on how you do things, one of the questions I wanted to ask is that because like every entrepreneur, you run into the roadblocks. Like you said, you got a lot of no's before the yeses came in. So how is it that you got to the journey of, okay, well, I want to be an entrepreneur right now? Like, you want to just dive in. What has been like for you?
So I would say that my dad was the biggest influence for me. He's my hero, he's my ultimate coach. He likes to give his 2 cents about what I'm doing. And he says,
Mm.
I just want to give you my 2 cents advice. You can either take it or leave it. I started working with my dad. He bought a co-working space in 1987. So he owned a co-working space. We had over 200, maybe 250 clients. So some of them had actual businesses there and some were virtual. So they just had the mailing address. I came to work with him in 94, 95. So I'm really dating myself here.
All right.
But I answered the phone for all of those clients. So I was like, good afternoon, Sorkins. Good afternoon, Minuteman Press. Good afternoon, the Avioli Law Firm. So I actually represented a bunch of people before. So,
Oh.
so it's really cool to see how sometimes we just do a complete circle. Sometimes those circles are a little bit longer than we think they are. But that's my first view of networking at its best. This was right when when BNI started. So with me being in this co-working space, I saw all of these different, the bookkeeper, the guy doing the websites, and connecting those and saying, hey, Nancy, you need to go down to Jonathan. Jonathan's doing the website and he can help you with that. Wow. So, but then you go on with life and you have kids and I lost my identity. I loved my identity, but I was Madison's mom, I was Dylan's mom, and I was Steve's wife. So who was Tracy Mueller? And I was fine with that, because I didn't know. I was in that season. And then it finally got to a point where I'm like, I need to know who I am. I need to get my confidence up for me, not just being a parent, not just being a wife, but finding out about me and all those times that I was with my dad and riding in the car with him. He would take me to my high school at the time. He would always play Jim Rohn. And whenever, and I would just be like, can we just listen to the radio today? Just today, could we just listen to the radio? Why do we have to listen to this guy talk about motivation? He's like, because this is my university. This is where I learn. And so I would roll my eyes and I would just take a nap until I got to the school. I remember getting out of the car and he would always say, Tracy, today is the first day of the rest of your life. And it's filled with opportunities. And it was just, that's my entrepreneur thing. I mean, it took me through different seasons, but I always found it. At some point, something would ring true with what my dad had said. And that has a lot to do with why I will always be.
Wow. Yeah, I really, really love that. So it's always been in you since childhood. And now it's just awoken to a whole other thing where not only that, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about business. It's that point of you're finding yourself, and like you said, you're dating yourself because not too many people know that.
Right.
It's just a big shift. And for those that don't know what that means, well, I hope you'll discover that one day.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. So like you said, you get your dad has been one of your biggest supporters, one of your biggest mentors. What has been like for us, like family experience once they've seen that you're an entrepreneur? Like, do they see the you that is within you? Does that make sense?
Sometimes I wish that they did. My husband has always been a supporter of me. Mm-hmm. Does he understand the entrepreneurial world? No, not at all. He's like, why don't you just get a job? It'd be so much easier if I knew how much you were going to pay this month, to help with the bills or, just, he's working 2 jobs. So my husband works a job at UPS and he works a job at another place. So he works 70 plus hours a week. Ooh, so he is in that job, and he's seeing me have fun at what I do and I'm getting paid to do it. So that's really tough. My kids are teenagers, and pray for me because teenagers are not are not
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, I get it.
But I will have to say, and I'm going to share this. I think it was so cool. My daughter, she came home, and she told me that for art school she had to draw a portrait of somebody that inspires her.
Mm.
And she said, "Mom, I drew a picture of you. So here it is." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. You just drew a picture of me, Madison. That is the..." And and before I could even like get another word out, she goes, "Yeah, you're the only photo I had in my phone, so that's why I picked you." And I'm like, "Oh, but honey, it's still so..." And then she goes, "Oh, and it's not very good because I can't figure out your wrinkles."
Oh man.
So
Well, thanks a lot.
yeah, I'm like, okay, now I just cannot come back from that because, but when she handed me the final picture, when she was done, a couple weeks later, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I said I was going to put it on Facebook. She said, "If you put it on Facebook, I will tear it up. That's what I'll do." So I was so I'm kind of caught. I really want to share it on Facebook with everyone, but I don't want her to tear the picture up until I frame it. Once I frame it, then it'll be harder for her to tear it up.
Yeah, there you go. It'll probably be some time. Just probably go down to maybe a local shop, get a frame, stick it in there, and then just blast it.
Yes, definitely. But both my kids. I mean, my daughter used to watch dogs at our house, and she got paid for it, which
Mm.
was really cool. At that time, we didn't have a dog, so if somebody was going on vacation, she would watch that dog for a couple weeks and make
Yeah.
some really good money. Of course, I took my piece of it because I was marketing for her. I mean, I'm keeping up with their social media. There's bills that need to be paid for that, for that
Yeah.
marketing.
That's right.
So, but last year that kind of, halted a little bit because everybody couldn't go on vacation. And we ended up starting to foster dogs. So we had a couple of foster dogs stay with us, and I was able to give them up when they got adopted. It was tough,
Hmm.
but then there was a lonely puppy that needed to be fostering. And I was like, okay, we'll foster this one, but we're not keeping it. So now we have a dog. His name is Chewy. He's named after Chewbacca because that's what he sounded like when we brought him home.
Ah, all right.
So we definitely he's definitely added a lot to our family. But so
Yeah.
I'm hoping she'll just keep up. I mean, if we have another person that wants us to watch their dog, it's a great way for her to make money. She needs to do something.
Yeah, and from what I can see is that you're basically not. I wouldn't say I'm not going to use the word push. You're more showing her on how basically you do things and how she can incorporate that. Because I've said this before, everybody has their own path. They just haven't found it yet. You've definitely
Yes.
found yours, and I'm sure there's probably some other opportunities that you haven't seen yet or you've seen and they're right there in front of you. Don't you just love how that happens?
I absolutely love that. I'm
Yes.
excited for every day because I keep my eyes wide open and my ears open to make sure I don't miss it.
Yes. Yes, because one of the ways to become really successful in life and in business, when you hear, it makes you a whole lot of money. When you listen, you understand things, it's just not as good as when you hear. Does that quote make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah, I feel like I should have given a little coaching as far as like no, I'm just kidding. That's definitely not me. So, um with your teenagers growing up, and with your business taking off, where do you see yourself in business wise? Like how I should say, how is it that you're looking to grow this company?
So, I'm only planning on taking on so many clients myself
Mm-hmm.
because there's only one of me and I can only be in one place at one
Yeah.
time. Um, I've been kind of I want to kind of focus on that on those clients. I'll probably have like 6 clients,
Mm-hmm.
business owners I'll work with. Um, and I do have plans to kind of expand, and because I've had like 2 people reach out to me that would be interested in networking for someone, for a business owner, that maybe that business owner is extremely busy. He knows how important networking is. He's just not able to be there every week. So if they're able to step in and help with that, and maybe it would create some income for them. You know, I remember being a mom and wanting to have extra income. I mean, this would be a good opportunity because even as a mom, you you can only watch Thomas the Train and whatever other cartoon is out right now
Yeah.
with your children for so many times. Sometimes you just, like, I ended up getting a job at the YMCA just so I could have adult talk. I was tired of, like, my kids, I wasn't tired of my kids. I just was tired of talking to like toddlers all day and saying no. I wanted to talk to an adult. So I just took a job for $7 an hour at one point
Yeah.
just to get conversation. So,
Yeah. No, understanding. Like, we need to be surrounded with people who can understand us, and it really, really becomes even better when you're surrounded with like-minded people. That's how you really, really get out as a person. They can understand you. You see the success in them, and they can also see the success in you.
oh yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yes. So, last I wanted to ask is, how does someone get in contact with you?
So I think the best way to reach me, because I don't have a business Facebook page at this time or a
Yes.
website, I'm working on that, is you can definitely text me at 636 875 4373, or you can reach out to me at Tracy Marie LLC at gmail.com.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, thank you for being on Visiblepreneur, and I can't wait to see what other adventures that you've have.
I
So
know,
it's
me
gonna be
neither.
super exciting.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, thank you for being on. And remember, we are on Facebook, YouTube, so don't forget to like our Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up on there and comment. Let us know how we're doing on there, as well as follow for those that can do audio only. Don't forget to follow us on Anchor, which also goes out to 7 different platforms: Apple Podcasts, I believe iTunes, Google Cast has one. There's one that I just recently saw, Pocket Cast, and there's several others that I can't think of the names of, but that's okay. We're still on the internet. So if you'd like to come on Visiblepreneur, shoot us an email, visiblepreneur@gmail.com. So I am Isaiah, and you guys take care. See you on the next one.